All right, and welcome back to the last part of the notes for today. So we're going to finish up with talking about something called scientific dissemination. So dissemination is the act of spreading. So we're going to look at how scientists spread knowledge from kind of one place to the other, how that knowledge is cultivated and spread around. So on the bottom of your page here, you see kind of this set of boxes. So we're going to use some of these terms to fill in some of these boxes here. And I'll give you a hint, this first box, this big one across the top, we're going to write in the word scientific dissemination. So you kind of imagine that scientific dissemination there is the top box there. So the story is that, in scientific dissemination, we start off with, our researcher, here who's going to go through and, ask a scientific question, come up with a hypothesis, test it, and so on. And eventually they're going to write an article about the research that they did. Now, in science, one of the key things we do is that before we send that knowledge out to the world at large, we send that article off to some other scientists, and we call this process peer review. And these peers are going to look at that article and they're going to critique it and then send it back to the original scientist for revision, for updates to correct anything that seems wrong. It's kind of like if you were hanging out with your friends and they were going to go out somewhere, and one of them looked over at you and said, hey, you've got like some spinach in your teeth or something like that. Good peer review kind of corrects the things that are wrong before it goes out in the world. So this may cycle a couple times here, but eventually it'll get published. And this first kind of set of places that gets to publish, we call that primary literature. And you and I usually don't read this. This isn't something you're going to find in a normal newsstand. It's stuff for like colleges and industry things. But from here, it's going to go to what we call secondary literature or media. And these are kind of more popular magazines, TV shows, internet, stuff like that. And then also out to things like textbooks. So by the time we get the information, it's fairly well divorced from the original researcher doing it. So if you're following along and filling in the boxes on your sheet, we have scientific dissemination, researcher to article to peer review, right? And then that went back to researcher. And then primary literature to secondary periodicals or secondary literature and textbooks. So it kind of fills in all those kind of boxes on there. So that should be that. So that's kind of interesting. So textbooks where we get our information, there's kind of several steps away, right? So here's a couple more optical illusions for us to look at. This one's kind of fun. Got a skull on either side, and then kind of the spaces in the middle there. And in this one, a lot of people, it looks like it's rotating. Again, it looks like things are moving kind of towards the black periphery and away from the white periphery. So a lot of people see this kind of spinning around there. And then on the back side of our worksheet, we've got an assignment called What Am I Seeing? So in that TED Talk video by Michael Shermer, he talked about how people see things kind of differently than they really are. So here's, use the examples of hubcaps as UFOs or patterns in rock or bark or something like that. So create or find a picture of something that appears as something else. If you go online to find it, credit that image. If you make it yourself, name yourself as the source where that came from. And then down below, describe, well, what is the false perception? What does that look like? And then what is the reality of what it is? Right, so that's some good things there. If we've got time remaining in the class period, that's kind of the directions there. Also, I want to just kind of remind people about that extra credit with the Monster Talk podcast there. But if we've got some time permitting in the class, you can go back into Canvas, navigate to the Biology Resources module, open up the page titled Biology Quizlet page, and then you'll find a Quizlet called The Nature of Science, which gives you an opportunity to look over the terms for today. There's a direct link for it here, so if you go into the slides on Canvas, you can directly link it from there. So I hope you enjoyed the stuff for the day. I'm going to finish this up. We've got just a few more little quizzes, or a few more optical illusions. Some people see kind of a square that's floating in the middle here. Some people see these lines as kind of unparalleled, but they're actually parallel lines all the way across the middle there. Here's kind of some more circles kind of spinning around. Not really spinning around, but they look like it. And then this is kind of one of my favorite here. It's kind of this rollers. It looks like it's kind of spinning in different directions there. So I'm going to end the video there. Hope you enjoyed it and have fun studying.